another response video to the John Plant guy. And so it's going to be just mostly about the subject of religion and why it's pathetic and useless and shit. Religion. So he is one of these people. He just has this blind kind of faith. It doesn't really explain any context to it. Just claims the existence of this loving God. He seems to know him somehow. And even if he is a horrible shit, it's okay because it's God, and so somehow it's better than living with shitty humans is to live with a shitty God. I don't know. And you know, and we're supposed to care because there's some sort of soul thing that he wishes to save. For what purpose, who knows? To do what is it you think you're going to do with my soul? What is this? What is this? You're saving it to do what? What? Play part cheesy in heaven? What? Admire the rubies and emeralds? Fuck it. You know, I'd rather not. I'd rather not have been bothered if that's the master plan. So, yeah, so, like most religious people, he just makes up his own religion. I'll, you know, edit the Bible, because, you know, God would have done it, but, you know, he was busy and he didn't have time or something. It's just such bullshit. So he claims he's not religious. Another dodge, you know. You know, like a God theory doesn't count, and like his own, again, he makes proclamations. He tells me that God is suffering and God is in pain because of the state of the human race, or the condition that we exist in, and that he grieves for us. I don't know where he gets this testimony from. Does God talk to you? Again, there's no context. There's just somebody who professes some sort of intense faith, you know, belief without reason, and assumes something intelligent about that choice. And I can't see it. It's not even close to seeing any of it. It's a silly old story. I've seen no miracles performed. I see no evidence of the hand of God anywhere. Just a stupid story. So should I have faith? I should just randomly say take all the religions in the world, just throw them into a hat and pick one to have faith in, and then I'll be a fanatic, whatever that is. It's just stupid. Alright, so again, he just horribly evaded the main point. Let's see. You know, I gotta figure out which side of this is the beginning. Notes, you know. Well, not that it matters, because it almost became all the same argument. So, yeah, you know, I mean, I sort of pushed him on this right to die thing. He just didn't have the guts to say one way or the other. You know, to defend his forcing of people, his obnoxious interference with their free choice, and just keeps pretending that there's nothing like it. The choice shouldn't, like I said, like it's somehow a free choice when you're not allowed to do it your way. So because he's willing to jump off a building, and that's the way he would choose to die, he assumes that I should die his way. I'm not allowed to have my own standards. I have to eat what he eats, and I have to have sex with whoever he has sex with. And, you know, it's just this obnoxious stealing of my authority, my right to invest my welfare in my judgment. You don't have any fucking right, based on faith, to interfere with that. Now, if you can make a rational argument, that's something else. If you want to explain how fetuses are more profound without using a religious argument than the animals you eat. And he does eat them. You know, he rationalizes that. Oh, you know, I eat the ones that are made for cooking. You know, they're deliberately created for the purpose of you know, being slaughtered for my food. You know, engineered to be slaves to your appetite. Fuck you. So again, there's no rational arguments. It's just his faith is allowed to trump my intelligence, and I say fuck you. Period. You obnoxious fascist. Yeah. Anyway, so then, you know, it's all these silly religious things. Okay, so he sent his son. Okay, and then he thinks this God sending his son is doing something, right? To do something. And what did he do? Did he get leprosy and show us what it's like? That's no problem. Like leprosy's easy. I mean, if Jesus came here and got leprosy, okay, and lived 10 years with leprosy and then died of leprosy, hey, that might be impressive, right? Or if Jesus came here and died of cancer, you know, let him get some, you know, tumors and, you know, maybe even have his leg amputated. That might be impressive. But, oh, he hung on a cross. You know, died rather quickly compared to most of the poor people he would say would be with us always. The blights of poverty. Well, why didn't Jesus live poor then? Yeah, fuck this shit. I mean, again, his line, the poor will be with you always, is his words when he's having his fucking feet oiled. It's a pretty dismal rationalization from your Savior. You know, again, and if the son was supposed to be some sacrificial lamb, then maybe he should have been sacrificed in the way that people die right now, Alzheimer's. Let him lose his mind. You know, and live like a, you know, an outcast, and have people throw rocks at him and all that crap. Yeah, let him live as one of us. Anyway, so he just keeps wanting to make these comparisons between the worst of mankind and his God, and the assumption is that there's no such thing as decent people, and all sins are equal, and his God isn't about deeds. You know, it's just about faith. And again, why should I have any respect whatsoever if there was going to be a God and he wasn't impressed by deeds? I mean, I just sit here with a blank face. I mean, you know, the religion I grew up in was Methodist, and you know, they're not terribly judgmental, but and maybe their Christianity is the wrong kind of Christianity, because they sort of implied that deeds did matter, that doing the Good Samaritan thing mattered, that those things were part of what it was to be a good servant of the Lord and Jesus Christ, was to emulate his action in the world, to give them the shirt off your back kind of thing. Deeds mattered, weren't irrelevant. But that's the new modern Christian, is a selfish cunt who basically says, no, all I have to do is get baptized and impose my religion on everybody else, and I'll go to heaven. Be a fucking Hitler for Christ. Yeah, well, fuck you. All right. The right was, I don't know. All right. So anyway, yeah, I don't know what I wrote. But again, he just kept arguing that somehow you have a right when you don't have access to the technology that makes it possible for you to implement your right. So I could make lots of examples of simple prohibitions, like to say you have a right to drink, but you can't buy alcohol, you have to make it yourself or something. I mean, lots of examples where, you know, the right has been obscured and deteriorated by a lack of respect for the people who wish to exercise it. And just a fact. Again, it's my welfare and it's my judgment, and I should be allowed to violate God's good wishes for my soul. You know, it's just still, what do people think? What is this soul thing? Why would I want my soul to go somewhere? If I had one, why would I need it to go somewhere? All right. Anyway, so and then you sort of showed his colors because he was like thinking that abortion doctors are just in it for the money and they're killing the babies for money, and they're not providing a necessary service. They're not making it possible for people to live better lives. No, it's all just an evil plot, and they're just evil people for making a living, providing a service. So I would hope he has the same negative opinion about anyone who gets paid a salary to do anything. Fucking asshole. So anyway, he doesn't see my argument here. And again, like I said, it's quite obvious that rights can be denied when you deny people access to the means to exercising the liberty. And that denial of right to use the best technology to die the best way possible is clear and overt, and it's just an evasion of the subject to pretend otherwise. And fuck you. Again, it's not your right to tell me how I should die. It's my right, asshole. It's my life. It's not yours. You don't own me, you cunt. Fuck you. Anyway, yeah. In the end, it's still a mess. Soylent Green. Oh yeah, I wanted him to go watch Soylent Green, the movie Soylent Green. And there's this death scene in there, where a guy chooses to die, and he chooses to die well. He doesn't choose to die jumping off of a building or being distressed or unhappy. He chooses to die thinking the best of life, and everybody should have that right. You cunt. Alright, then, everybody who wishes to do anything in the world, to fix anything, we're all Hitler, we're all Stalin, we're all Pol Pot. There'll never be anyone who will ever create anything called an honest government. There's nothing you could build into government like accountability and, people who would be volunteer to be in government, who would say, you kill me if I steal money, or you kill me if you catch me doing something dishonest. That can never happen. We can never have accountability. Yeah, we can. People haven't chosen to do that. They haven't chosen to elect honest people because they've, too many of them suck, unfortunately. That's a failure of the democracy. But the biggest failure of the democracy, in my opinion, is the geographic bias, the fact that the minority voices will never be heard. The ideological minorities will never have an influence on government in the system we have. Their voices are silenced. No representation, zero. You have to be geographically segregated to have any representation in our pitifully poor democracy, but that's easily fixed. I'm just so, these tired cliches, absolute power corrupts absolutely. These they're just cliches. This whole, it's like the assholes who sit there and say, all science is flawed. We'll never know the truth. We'll never know the right answer because in 10 years they'll come up with a new answer. It's just not true. 90% of the stuff we find out stays found out, stays the truth. The round Earth and all kinds of stuff like that. How far the Earth is from the Moon. These facts don't change in any significant way. So it's just a lie to pretend that you can excuse all of this taking no responsibility for the life we live and the world we live in. It's ours to make, and people aren't going to make it a better world if they keep finding excuses to bail out of taking responsibility for the world that exists. Yeah, if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. Fact. And your stupid faith isn't a solution. Alright. So yeah, it's like everybody's a shithead and it doesn't matter what the crime is. So if you're you're a jaywalker, you're just as guilty as the axe murderer. It's just a stupid standard. I mean, I just can't even imagine a God who wouldn't be interested in the performance of the people he's judging. Did they push people into traffic, or did they, push people out of traffic? Doesn't matter to this God thing. That's silly. It's fucking retarded is what it is. Then he made some accusation about sex and blamed porn. I never saw porn, when I was, say, 11 years old and I started lusting after girls and imagining them naked and all that. I never saw porn. Porn didn't make me horny. So another, cliche, blame something else. Let's not blame the basic biology of the organism. Let's pretend it's some other problem besides the problem God created. Alright. Alright. Fuck you, and oh yeah, the for your kids statement. He keeps talking like I have kids, which I don't. And so I don't know who he's talking to almost. I guess he's just so used to making his generic crap argument that he'll pretend he's somehow innocent. And like I said, I haven't created kids yet. I'm going to be an advocate for the future, because whoever's going to exist in it isn't really going to matter. It's a brain that has to exist in it, and I'd rather be informed and intelligent and have the opportunity to do good in the world than to be an asshole, or in your case, an idiot. Alright, let God judge. Like, that's worked out really well. All these people not fixing anything in the world because they think God's going to do it. Just a huge cop-out. Let's see, lie for the dictator. Oh yeah, so he keeps trying to rationalize all this crap in the Bible, and so I was thinking about Pharaoh. So that's a place where God did the imposition of the penalty, and so because Pharaoh denied God and didn't free the Jews, God announced that I'm going to do whatever bad thought comes into Pharaoh's head, I'm going to impose on all of Egypt. So he killed the firstborn of all of the sons of Egypt, of all the Egyptian citizens. They have a dictator, by the way. Pharaoh wasn't elected. So I mean, the people of Egypt didn't elect Pharaoh. They didn't vote for him. And because God's what? A petty cunt, he decides to punish all the citizens of Egypt for Pharaoh's decision. So that's what you call justice. That's your beautiful, just God. So not only does he punish the children of Eve for the sins of Eve forever, all women forever, he he imposes all kinds of miseries and harms all throughout the Bible And in this clear example, he punishes the citizens of Egypt for their actions of their dictator. So your God isn't smart enough to figure out they didn't elect Pharaoh. Fuck you. Yeah, you suck. If that's your definition of God or justice, and that you think your God is better than the shittiest of humans, go ahead. Why don't you point to me to where Stalin did that? Why don't you point to me where even Hitler would have done that? Yeah, fuck you. So you're just the mouthpiece, the sycophant for a malicious and sadistic God. Of your own. Obviously, it's a delusional character, but whatever. Alright, and then he accused me of evading something. Dispert. Evaded something. Oh, yeah, I evaded something about being desperate when you commit suicide. Again, you shouldn't have to be desperate. I mean, if somebody would have asked me when I was 7 years old, came to me with an honest statement, just said, hey, Gary, you've had a little taste of this thing called life. This is sort of how it's going to be played out, okay? Yeah, you got to keep going to this school thing with all the rules you don't like. You got to do that for another 10 or 15 years. And, relationships go good and bad. It's, really messy. And then, you might get a disease or two. And, you might have to survive a few cancers or this or that. And then you'll die. And offered me the choice to say, well, does it seem like a good game to you? And I'd say, no. I wouldn't be desperate to leave, but I'd say, no, it really doesn't. I really don't look forward to this, keep doing this going to prison every day thing. And yeah, the few hours I get to play with my trucks or something really isn't worth it. So it doesn't have anything to do with desperation, you asshole. It has to do with recognizing that there's no game here. This isn't a good game. It's a shitty game. Wait for the bad luck. Wait for the roll of the dice that's snake eyes. And you're fucked. Oh, what fun. Can't wait. Yeah, I could wait. So, fuck you. So, you're something edited. So of course it's all this edited Bible. And so I made the point kind of clear that if there was a God, you'd think he'd have you'd think he'd do us the minor decency of properly writing his own biography, writing a book that was coherent and wasn't full of contradictions, telling us honestly what the expectations are, and so some sort of real description, some sort of real conversation, and there's none of that in the Bible. Let's see, stupid religion doesn't make people good, that's for sure. Alright, so then again, just because, so if you're an atheist, you're teaching people that we're just animals, and so I already refuted that and said there's nothing about being an atheist that requires you to be stupid and to think we're just animals and we're supposed to do what just animals do, that we're bugs and we're supposed to just behave like bugs. Being an atheist might mean, yes, you believe in evolution, you rationally understand the evidence. That's another thing. This guy obviously has no understanding of anything scientific. There's nothing about evolution that's rationally deniable. That's where we came from. But we're clearly quite capable of understanding the difference between right and wrong, unlike the ignorant and uneducated animals. And it's just undeniable. So, I mean, if an atheist is preaching that we can't be anything but dumb animals, that's a dumb atheist. I mean, it happens. Some atheists are dumb. Anyway, So again, but it's kind of irrelevant to this conversation. So again, he's talking to me as if I don't exist. He's just talking to me as if I'm a preacher for some other philosophy than the one I'm espousing, which has a great deal of reverence and respect for our intelligence. We're not just animals. So New Testament is loving persuasion. So that's sort of his argument, that there's something in the New Testament that somehow is just this beautiful expression of God's love. And I'm sorry, you know, the Sermon on the Mount. I mean, where do the poor will be with you always? Where exactly do I find this? It seems pretty draconian in the sense that God said, look, you're totally out of luck if you get divorced. You can't get to the kingdom of God. And he wasn't too keen on the whole rich man thing. Didn't give them much of a chance. But I mean, where's the? I just don't see any expression of any kind of thing called respect for people. I mean, Jesus performed miracles, and that's it, right? Thousands of years ago. We don't get any today. He doesn't make any disciples that are capable of doing any of that. But we know none of that really happened, because obviously the disciples wouldn't have been traitors to Jesus if they would have actually witnessed the dead rising and would have actually witnessed people being cured. So obviously none of that shit actually happened. Alright. Good enough for you, Bible BS. Contradictions. Yeah, so again, it's a book full of contradictions, and you have faith. It's okay. So you'll just, no matter what, you'll just keep saying faith, 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 faith. So no matter how bad it is, no matter how irrational and illogical and how ignorant it seems, you just keep throwing faith as your excuse. I don't see how that. It's not a defense of bad judgment. It's in a sense of evidence of bad judgment. Right, the evidence of evolution just can't be denied, and that's our origin. There was no creation of the human organism. I mean, you can just see all the similarities in the biology. You look at so many animals, and it's just a little bit of a different construction, little slight construction differences. Same mechanism, basically. Mouth, nostrils. I mean, they're all the parts are in the right place. They're just a little stretched out, the same arteries in the neck of a giraffe. It's all the same stuff. Anyway, alright, people in prison for profit. Well, yeah, there was people in prison long before there was for-profit prisons. So it's not the for-profit part that matters, and you shit for brain ought to know that. People are in prison because you have to create some sort of deterrence. And again, your own God uses deterrence as a way of hoping to prevent people from being shitty. So for you to deny its effectiveness is ludicrous. Apparently he's a big fan of drug use, so I don't know where he gets that from. I mean, the Bible says alcohol is basically supposed to be reserved for the poor and sick, to give them comfort. And they didn't really have much else. So we have to just say that all drugs probably fall into that category. But yeah, he seems very empathetic for the reckless drug users, which, I'm not a big fan of the drug war, but I'm also not a big fan of assholes who use drugs sloppily. Take risk with other people's welfare using their drugs. That's just bullshit. Alright, yes, power, absolute power corrupts, or I said ultimate power, but same difference, right? But, you know, all power is not corrupting. Just depends on the integrity of the person you give the power to. And there's people who are willing to be scrutinized and watched, and they don't mind. They'll say, go ahead, invade my privacy. Give me power, and then you may invade my privacy. Because I'm not here to cheat you, kind of a thing. There certainly are people on earth who you can give power to, and they'll be willing to be under whatever scrutiny you wish to apply. Okay. Love affair with being sellers, drug sellers. Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I'm just saying, it just seems to be. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of the drug war, but it's just, you know, these stupid, lazy potheads, you know, who just don't want to take any responsibility for the facts. That you just can't have people flying airplanes hungover or, you know, burned out, you know, after a weekend of drug use. Just not practical, not sensible, not logical. So until you're ready to take some sort of responsibility for responsible drug use, sorry. Alright, faith is stupid. That's about all you can say, right? I mean, it's the definition of it is stupid. And you've given me nothing. You know, there's just nothing to chew on here. You're just arguing at me. Well, I have my faith, and my faith makes me capable of seeing through all the bullshit in the Bible, and I can know what are the good parts. And I know that God is in pain, and He loves us, and I know this why. They didn't quote anything from the Bible that indicates this love. And everything I've seen in the Bible indicates contempt. Clearly. You know, I mean, ask all the victims of the flood whether they felt loved. Okay. So, yes, so he is something. So, but anyway, it's just you say so. You say God grieves for us. You say so. There's no evidence of it. Just your words. And I'd say fairly empty and crappy and useless words. So I'll play some of this shiat and be done with this.
So we should kill all the wealthy and the rapists.
Okay, so again, I didn't argue we should kill the wealthy. What I said is we should have laws that prevent the obscenely wealthy. Yeah.
Stuff, and after that everything's fine. Absolutely right. It's going to be better once.
No, my whole philosophy is that everything can never be fine, and I've already made the argument to you over and over again. I keep using this lifeboat example. The lifeboat can be bad or less bad. It doesn't have to be a horror. There's a ton of stuff that can make the voyage more acceptable, more tolerable, more comfortable. And that's what we can argue about, and that's what we can do something about. And it's right there to be done, and it makes huge amounts of difference. Like 2 million kids that go blind for a lack of vitamin A. Little things like that can be fixed. This is bullshit. There's pain and suffering here that doesn't need to happen. And it's a fact, asshole.
We take the upper hand. We won't be becoming the next dictators or anything like history.
So again, it's just history. So history teaches that that we don't get more intelligent. So in the last 200 years, right, we only had electric lights for a little over 100 fucking years, for Christ's sakes. But no, we don't count knowledge. We don't count the fact that we become progressive. We don't count the fact that we are losing our religion, thank goodness, and we're becoming secular and rational. That's why America got created, a democracy with constitutions. Those things have sort of taken over the world to some extent, but they're still immature and underdeveloped. But they're a lot better than fucking kings, asshole. So we've made some progress. You just want to deny all of that, and you just want to pretend that it's all Hitler and Stalin. Everywhere you look, it's all Hitler and Stalin. Fuck you. It's a cliche and a cop-out, cunt. It's a fallacy that that's the only way it can be.
Teaches everywhere. Again, power corrupts, ultimate power corrupts ultimate.
Yeah, so you already said that in this fucking video, this ton of videos. So again, just keep repeating the same cliche bullshit. It's not a fact. Not anywhere written in any stone anywhere. Okay? Especially again when you consider that in the last 150 or 200 years, we have done a ton of changes from a lot of the stagnant shit that was the past. The biggest part of that is stepping out of monarchy.
Because they're starving the rest of us. They're killing us with their greed and their sloppy